Yesterday was a huge day for the Noles in the transfer portal, and it probably puts a pretty big bow on what they've done in the portal in general this cycle. There was some complaining going on in December about how slow they were being because all they got in December was Marvin Jones Jr., and you remember 2023's portal class where they signed a ton of guys between the end of the regular season and New Year's Day. A little bit different this year where they just signed Marvin Jones Jr. in that window, but when they got DJ Uyunglele, everything changed. I want to talk about the class in general, but let's talk about who they picked up yesterday. First up, Richie Leonard committed to the Seminoles. He is coming in from the University of Florida, 6'2", 310 pounds, offensive lineman, plays on the interior. He played all 12 games at UF. He had 755 snaps, which is the most of any UF offensive lineman. Graded out pretty average on PFF. Wouldn't say that he's, leading their offensive line or the most elite player on their offensive line, but he had some really good games. He was the second highest graded, according to PFF, on UF's entire offense. In the FSU game, shout out to Clay Fink. He pointed out that he had an 80.2 pass block grade against UGA, and he really stood out against some pretty good opponents, Florida State, Georgia, others. And so something I think Alex Atkins can work with. He's a second interior offensive lineman you picked up behind TJ Ferguson from Alabama, and he comes in from an SEC program. Now, look, I'm not going to hype this up and say that Florida is just an amazing program and this is the greatest pickup you've ever had or anything like that. We'll be pretty real with this. I think he's going to be a rotational piece. He could be a depth piece, but I think he could come in and fight for a starting guard spot with Keandre Jones and others that are already in that Florida State program. Is he able to win that out? Is he going to win it out? I'm not sure, right? There's a lot of time between now and then. Let's see how things look once you go through mat drills, tour of duty, strength and conditioning with Coach Storms, things like that. But I do think it's a very solid add from a depth perspective. He comes over as a grad transfer, and so he's played a lot of SEC games. He's been in an SEC program for a while. Again, I know that Florida's been pretty down, but that's still pretty good. Florida's still better than most of the ACC teams you're going to be playing this year, and this is a quality add. It's not going to put you over the top from 11 to 12 wins or 9 to 10 wins. I don't necessarily know that it buys you that, but I do think it strengthens the depth in your offensive line room. You need to continue to do that. You need to continue to get better there in ways and places that you can, and so this is a big pickup for that. He is moving to a better strength and conditioning program. As much love as the SEC gets, Billy Napier hired an absolute idiot to run his strength and conditioning. He since fired that guy who had them out running laps. I've talked to several people at UF and read articles at UF about their strength and conditioning program being basically a joke, kind of a all conditioning, no strength. And I'm excited to see what he can, put on or pack on a little bit under Coach Storms. I think that'll help his game a ton. And then I also think he's obviously moving to a better O-line coach, the best offensive line coach in the state with Alex Atkins there in Tallahassee. Florida has 2 O-line coaches, and it certainly hasn't seemed to help them recruiting, portal, or development. They've not done a good job of any of the 3 of those. And so I think that it's exciting to think about what Leonard might be able to do. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to predict him to be all ACC or anything like that, but it'll be exciting to see what he can do under a better program, both strength and conditioning and the offensive line coach that he's actually playing for. Shows a lot of potential at times. I'm sure you can go watch more of his film somewhere else. We're not doing film breakdowns or anything crazy like that, but somebody that I think Florida State's excited to have. Got him in on a visit, locked him up. He committed quickly, and that was the end of that story. Roydell Williams, let me make sure I say that right, is a 5'10", 215-pound running back from Alabama. The Tuscaloosa to Tallahassee pipeline continues to stay strong. We were told early in the week about this commitment. We actually let our Discord know about both of these before they happened, so make sure that you join patreon.com/DFNS if you haven't already. Roydell played in 45 games for Alabama. He had 34 rushes for 1,165 yards this season, 11 touchdowns. Career average is 5 yards per carry. Also caught 21 passes for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a 4-star transfer on the 247 transfer rating. If you just search his name on Twitter and select over to the videos, he has some runs where he absolutely lays the hammer. They remind you of those Greg Jones runs where he absolutely is violent and puts his shoulder down and runs through people. He's really exciting to watch, and I think he is going to fit into the running back room really, really nicely. I think he gives you some of that power that you lost with Trey Benson. I don't think he's Trey Benson. I'm not making that comparison, but I think he gives you some of that back. Obviously, Toa Philly, not necessarily known for his power, but you love what he brings, kind of that thunder lightning duo of power and strength. You're obviously getting Cam Davis. You're getting other recruits that you signed, Danzy and others that you have in this class, but you did lose Hill, you lost Benson, and so you need to continue to replace talent in that room and veteran talent, right? I think we all know that Cam Davis is going to be the future, going to be really, really good for the Noles for a few years, but even the great Dalvin Cook did not start game 1 of his freshman season. It really wasn't until Louisville that he broke out several games into this season. And it wouldn't surprise me if that was Cam's path too. So you need somebody for early in the year. Norvell loves to rotate running backs, so it is a big deal to have multiple guys in there that you can count on, multiple guys that you can lean on during a game, right? They really had to lean pretty heavy on Toa Philly by himself in that ACC championship game. A lot of Wildcat, and he certainly did tote the rock and fit that very, very well. And obviously we're very thankful that he did. But being able to rely on multiple guys, some guys who maybe see the whole better in this game or that game, I think that's a big deal. Search Roydell Williams, watch his highlights, ton of fun. Kid, again, has some power, had some big runs against LSU. You can go find those, obviously, here on YouTube. You can find him on Twitter, wherever. Just search his name, and I think you'll like what you see. It's a commitment day. It's double commit, actually. So we've got the Battles End quarter zip on. As always, make sure that you're supporting the Battles End. Listen, Florida State picked up a couple of transfers from SEC programs, highly sought-after transfers from Alabama and Florida. Again, the kid that took the most snaps on Florida's offensive line last year, and then a really, really good running back. I spoke with some people at Alabama, and they really like Roydell Williams. But make sure you're supporting the Battles End. If you're an FSU fan, if you are happy with the way that the talent and the direction that this program is going and the way that they're continuing to reload in the portal, if you like any of that, and if you want to be part of any of that, if you want to support that, it happens because of people just like you and I that give to the Battle's End. I know that NIL is maybe not the most perfect scenario where the fans are the ones toting the rock and carrying the load, but that's what it is right now. And if you want to be competitive and you want to win at the highest level, I would encourage you to go to thebattlesend.com, sign up for whatever level you can. There's a $20 a month level. If that's too much and you want to do a one-time donation, that's fine too. But support in any way you can. They're doing great work for FSU and great work for FSU football's athletes, and hopefully you'll support over there. Hey, big shout out to Alex Atkins. He's done a good job here in the portal again, continuing to stack that room. From the high school ranks with blue chip talent. And, obviously the news came out this week about the NCAA stuff. He was hilarious on social media, kind of poking some fun at it, having some fun with it. I think Florida State kind of knows that they're going to be fine with that NCAA stuff. We got pretty hyped up about it. We got pretty, upset, irate about it in the moment. Still not super happy with it going down, but at the end of the day, Florida State's fine. Florida State knows they're fine. You guys chill out on social media to, there's a reason that Florida State, I think, leaked that. We tried to, make that clear in the last video. Florida State will be just fine, right? Totally over the NCAA stuff now that we know that they've served half the penalties anyway, and Atkins not being there for a couple of games when it's Norvell's offense, not a big deal. Scholarships, who cares because of NIL? We're over that, right? Like, let everything with that go. You can still call out the UGA coach, but we don't need to be going at anybody else. We're all good there. Atkins joking about it certainly has taken some weight off of everybody's shoulders. I think everybody's in a much better place than they were just a few days ago. And he continues to show you why he is a really, really good recruiter, really good coach as he continues to add talent to that room. Yak, another running back pickup here. Norvell obviously going to have a lot to do with that as well, picking up a guy from Alabama. I think the offensive recruiting at this moment is just something that, we've talked about. I'm never really going to worry about with Mike Norvell here. I know we have qualms and we have complaints about some things on the defensive side of the ball, and that's fine, right? I'm not going to be super negative on a double commit video, but I do think that this has been really, really good on the offensive side of the ball for a long time, and I'm excited to see what the Noles can do this year. This is not an early schedule preview or anything like that, but I mean, when you look at the schedule, I think there are like 6 or 7 games that you should just win by walking into them, right? You have that much more talent than the other team. And then I think there are anywhere from 4 to 5 games that you should, that are going to be battles, right? And so, if you just say that, right, like there's 7 wins you should have, and the other ones, if you can go 3-2, I mean, it's a 10-win season, and you're probably looking at a chance at the playoff in that scenario if you can win the ACC championship, right? And so I know we all likes going 13-0, but if I offered you right now, hey, you're going to go 10-2 regular season, and you're going to be in Charlotte, and if you win the playoff, if you win the championship, you're in. Most of us would take that, considering everything that we lost last year. Now, look, I'd love to go 13-0 again this year. Not many teams go 13-0 back-to-back. I know 2013 and 14 did it, but they brought a lot of that core back from 2013, where Florida State's having to kind of reload at this point. So, yeah, I think this team can be really, really good. I think what they continue to add, not only has, there have been pieces that they've added in the portal that have raised the ceiling. I think yesterday's ads raised the floor a little bit. They kind of protect against your worst case. You're kind of reloading in that running back room. You're helping the depth in that offensive line room. And what they've done in the portal overall, I mean, big shout out to Mike Norvell and the staff. They've got 13 commits in the portal, 14 if you count DJ Lundy, but I won't count that one. 13 commits in the portal. 9 of them are rated as 4 stars. Almost all transfers are rated as 3 stars. So the fact that they've pulled 9 4 stars is really unthinkable. They've got 3 3 stars, and then Richie Leonard doesn't have a grade. They may not grade him because it's so late in the cycle, but it's kind of ridiculous, right? You could say 9 4 stars and 4 4 star, or 9 4 stars and 4 3 stars is probably what I would think Leonard grades out as with just 1 year left. But either way, they've been really, really special there. They've gotten difference makers. They've gotten guys that other teams really want. They've gotten guys for positions of need. We talk about the defensive line. We talk about offensive line, wide receiver, running back. They've done a really good job there. I wouldn't be surprised still if they pull in a linebacker or 2. I know there have been some just here recently from Alabama, Washington, other places that have entered the portal due to their coaching changes. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of confidence in the linebacker recruiting right now, but love to be shut up there and love to be wrong there. So fingers crossed Florida State will pull something in from that position. Let's talk about it further on Discord. Again, if you haven't joined yet, you can go to patreon.com/DFNS and join. Make sure that you're supporting the Battle's End. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll be live tonight at 6 p.m. I think we have a special guest. So set a reminder. We'll be live tonight at 6 and look forward to chatting with you then. Go Noles.